Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's your favorite girl Favor. If this is your first time of coming across my YouTube channel, thank you so much for being here. On this YouTube channel, we'll learn how to turn void materials into a beautiful piece. So please do well to click on the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell so that you'll be the first person to be notified whenever I post a new video. And to my returning subscribers, thank you so much for your love and support. So guys, for today we're going to be learning how to cut and sew this beautiful draped stylish corset you see me putting on right here. And if this sounds like something that you're interested in, without wasting much of your time, let's head to the tutorial proper. So guys, on our previous tutorial, we learned how to draft the pattern for the pieces of what you're seeing on this table today. Okay, so please do well to look out for that video and then watch it so that you understand how we were able to arrive at this. I'll be leaving the link to that on the description box below. Okay, so please do well to click on that. So we'll keep this aside now and head to joining all these pieces. Now I will quickly explain something to us. I will go ahead now and separate this pin. Now this is one of the things we talked about on our previous tutorial, so please do well to check out for that tutorial. So now I love to pad my corset whenever I'm making a corset. This is what I learned from my fashion school. It is important for you to pad your corset. Now after adding a little this medium ST, that is the paper ST. This is the paper ST that I added first. Now this is way affordable than the original ST that is kind of in a cloth form. So this is way affordable. You can try using this. So I use this to gum on it first, and then I use this is a soft wording. If you know this as a wording, or if you know this as a pad, I use this is the softest part of it. Okay, so I use it to pad this so that it will have strength, because we know that crepe is not a very thick material like the Ankara and all. So even with Ankara is advisable. Now another important thing to note is that when you are going to do an eyelet like this on your clothes and then it's not padded, there's every tendency that your eyelet pin is going to be pulling off. So that is the another importance of why you need to pad your corset. Okay, so guys, we'll go ahead now and keep this particular one aside, for I've already explained why I usually add my pad. So we'll go ahead and join the pieces. Now before that, I also went ahead to use just that paper gum on my interfacing, which is my lining. Okay, I hope you understand. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and join these pieces together like so. Okay, so we'll pick these pieces and then lay them properly the way it's supposed to stay. Now you can see the way I'm arranging this. So when you're arranging your corset, make sure that the cup comes out this way. You can see this center is like that because we snatched the waist. So what we're going to do right now, we'll pick this center front first like this, and then pin it together like this. You see the way I'm pinning it. Now this place that I'm pinning down is the angle that we're going to be closing by 1/2 inch. Okay, we'll close this angle by 1/2 inch like this. So I'm going to open this up for us to see. We'll stitch here by 1/2 inch. Now by the time we stitch that place, this is what we are expected to see. You can see what it looks like already. Okay, so the way we pin that center front, we also pick this other side and then pin it together and stitch. So wherever you see me pinning, this simply means that this is the angle we are going to be stitching. So I will go ahead and join these pieces together by 1/2 inch. All right, now I'll also do the same thing for the interfacing. Remember this other part, whatever you do to this part, you do for the other parts, and then I will close it up by 1/2 inch, and then I'll also go ahead and close for the back pattern and the front pattern. So but don't worry, when I come back I will quickly explain to us how to do this, but do not forget 1/2 inch. So guys, I've gone ahead now to join our pieces together. You can see what the first part looks like, and after joining it, I went ahead to iron it by opening the seams. You iron by opening the seams, and I did the same thing for the interfacing, which is the lining. You can see what it looks like. Now I also ironed this open. So this is the back pattern. I also went ahead to join the back pattern. Now let me quickly explain how to join this back pattern. Now this is the arrow here, and this is where our loop is supposed to be. So just by following the indication of the arrow. That is how I was able to attach this, and then I as well iron and open all the seams. Okay, I hope you understand this part. So there's really no much work at the back. So but for this back, I'll also be attaching a bony to it. Okay, now back to the front pattern. Now I'm going to quickly explain how we are going to be attaching the bony. Now I cut out 1-inch stripes, which is that pieces you're seeing me holding down like that. Okay, now what we're going to do, if you look at the corset we are trying to recreate closely, you will notice that it's a visible bony that was used, not an invisible bony. Okay, so we'll come down by 1/2 inch from that angle. Just from this point, come down by 1/2 inch. You first of all stitch down the 1-inch piece. So after stitching it down to the full length, you now flip it in this way. You can see what I'm doing here, and then stitch it down like this. Okay, now you can see what it looks like. So this is what is meant to look like. So guys, I've gone ahead now to attach our bony to the main clothes. You can see now this is not an invisible bony. Now this is what invisible bony looks like. You can see what it looks like. I attached this at the center of the dart for the back piece. I did the same thing for the other side. Okay, now we have this opening because we snatched the waist, if you remember from the pattern we drafted. Now this is what the front also looks like. Okay, like I said, I came down by 1/2 inch before attaching my bony. This is to enable me attach my cup and then turning of the lining, so that I won't have difficulties in turning them out. Okay, so what we're going to do right now, the next thing we're going to do is to go ahead and pick up our lining and place it on top of the main fabric like this, the front facing front like so, and then pin the angle. Guys, remember, anywhere you see me pin is an angle that we're meant to stitch. Okay, so we'll go ahead and stitch this angle that I'm pinning. Okay, and then we'll stitch here as well. We're going to stitch here, and then we'll stitch this other angle here, and down to this part too we stitch. So we're going to stitch all around. We're not going to be stitching the center for the cup. We're not going to be stitching the down part, but we'll stitch every other part. Okay, here we won't stitch here. Down here we won't stitch here. So after stitching the front part, now I'll pick up the interfacing for the back part and then just stitch down here. Now this place where we are stitching is the upper part. Just stitch all the way around apart from the down part. Now that is where we're going to be turning it. Do not forget, you stitch every other part apart from the down part. So I'll take this and bring it back. So guys, I've gone ahead now to stitch this down, and I also ironed out the bony. Please, it's also important for you to always iron out the bony. Now this is what it looks like. So after stitching the back part, I went ahead to turn it in and then iron it. So that is where our loop is going to be staying. So I'll take this aside now so that I'll focus on the front. Now you can see what the front piece looks like. I've already went ahead to turn it in. You can see what it looks like. Okay, I stitch here, I stitch down here, I stitch here as well, and then I stitch this other part. Okay, now at the center you can see that I didn't stitch the center. All I did was to just sew it down round. You can see what it looks like. Okay, all right, so guys, we're going to go ahead now and work on our path and on our cup rather. Okay, you can see what it looks like. Now this is where the cup is going to be sitting, so we'll not stitch that. Okay, so guys, I'm going to quickly explain something to us. Now when you're buying your cup, it is advisable for you to buy a cup that is 2 inch bigger than your cup, and where my hand is where you get to see the number of the cup you are buying. Always check out for the number. Okay, now after doing that, now we're going to go ahead and fold this into two like this. All I am trying to do is to get the midpoint of this bra cup. So I'll give it a notch down here, and then I will turn it over to this other side and as well give it a notch down here like so. Now what we're going to do, now we've gotten the midpoint of this cup, we're going to go ahead where my hand is here. We're going to go ahead and mark 1/2 inch. Now this is 1 inch here, this is 1 inch, so we'll go ahead and mark 1/2 inch at this other point. I'll use my marker. You can see the way I'm placing it. This is the center of the cup. Okay, now we'll go ahead and place 1/2 inch down here. I will mark it here. Then to the other side, I will mark 1/2 inch as well. All we're trying to create is a space for our dart intake. Now from that center, I will come down by 2 inch 2 inches. Okay, now that is where our cup, so you can do 1.5, but you can, the least you can do is 2 inches. Okay, so by the time you open this up, you flip it up like this, and then you stitch the way in a dart form. Okay, so I'll also do the same thing for this other cup. Now we'll go ahead and get the lining for our cup. Now when you finish cutting out your cup, the pieces that comes from that corset cup does not cover the cup properly, so I'll quickly explain how to get your cup cover. Okay, how to pad your cup. Now if your round bust is 36 divided by 6 will give us 6. Okay, now whatever your round bust is what you use to divide it by 6 to be able to use to draft out your bra cup cover. Okay, now mine is 6 inches. You can see the way I folded this like now, so just pay attention. I'll quickly explain. I had to fast forward this point because of the video. This particular side is actually lengthy. Now I'll take 6 at this point here. You can see where I mark my 6. Now I'll still place my 6 at the middle there, and then I'll place the 6, mark it here, and I'll also place the 6 down here and then mark. Now what I have done is that I have gotten the square of this 6, so I'll go ahead and connect this using a line like this. Just pay attention to what I'm doing here. Now I have gotten this square. Now they are equal parts, they are in 4 equal parts. You can see what it looks like. Now what we're going to do, we're going to connect this line down to this point, and then from this other point connect it to this one. Now you can see the mid here. So from here will come out by 1 inch, come here by 1 inch, down here will come out by 1 inch. The same thing we did for the up. Now from this other one, we just go ahead and get round circle. Remember my 6 is still at the point of that 6. As you can see what I'm doing here. All I'm doing is to get the cover of that bra cup. So I'm going to be leaving a detailed tutorial on how to do this for those who don't understand how this is going now. Now I'm going to go ahead and connect it to this middle and extend it down to this point. You can see what I'm doing here. Now from this 1 inch, I will just take it down to this other 1 inch. Now we have gotten the cover for the bra cup, for our bra cup. I hope you understand, guys. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just cut this out. Just pay attention to this video that is playing here. You understand. You can see the way I'm cutting it from this angle to this angle, and then we'll just trim out this curve. You can see what it looks like. So this is the easiest way to get your cover, your bra cup, to how to get the cover for your bra cup. Is that simple. So by the time we want to stitch, we'll stitch down here. Now for you to be on the safer part, I will pin this down. Now where I'm pinning down is where we're meant to be stitching. Now from here, I will come down here by 1 inch, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and then connect the lines together. You can see. So I'll go and sew this and then attach it, and then I'll bring it back. Okay, so guys, I've gone ahead now to hold the dart down for our bra. You can see what it looks like. See what this looks like. Now this helps our bust to sit properly inside the cup. You can see what it looks like. It helps our bust to sit properly inside the cup like this. So I'll keep this aside now. Now I've also gone ahead to cut out our bra cup. This is the cover for the bra cup, and then I stitch it down just by the illustration I just did previously. Now this is what it looks like. I'm going to use my lining to demonstrate it so that we'll see it better. You see what it looks like. You can see how beautiful it looks like. Now this is the simplest way and the easiest way to get your bra cup, and then when you finish, you just iron the seams open and you're good to go. So we're going to go ahead now and cover this bra with the cup, the lining and the main fabric that we did. Now if you look at the corset we're trying to recreate, that particular style is not having a straight kind of form cup, so we're going to keep it in a slanted form. So all we just have to do is just try as much as possible to get the middle point. Now when we get the middle point of this, we'll go ahead and pin it down using our pin. Okay, so I've gotten the middle of my cup. So I'm going to go ahead now and pin it down. Just be careful to pin it down so that it won't move. So we're going to go ahead and pin it down, and then you pull down actually gradually so that you can be able to close down your cup firmly. You don't want your cup not to look smooth. So you pin it down. You can see what I'm doing here. All I'm doing is just to cover up the cup properly. Okay, now don't worry if your cup cover is too big. You will know, or the next thing what to do is to go ahead and trim it out. Okay, so just trim this out. First of all, stitch it down. So guys, after stitching it, this is what the cup looks like. You can see from the two, I've gone ahead to trim out this particular one. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and use this one to illustrate on how to trim out the excesses on the cup. Remember, we're meant to stitch it down, so the edges of the cup where we stitch is where we're going to be trimming out. So this is what it looks like. Now we're going to go ahead and use the interfacing, that is the lining, to cover up the inner part of the cup as well. Okay, now this is how the cup we're supposed to use and cover it. But first of all, we are going to make sure that this lining, the good side, is facing good side like this. Can you see? Then we stitch it here. So I'll bring it back. So guys, I've gone ahead to stitch on both cups. You can see what it looks like. Now you can see good side facing good side. So by the time we flip it in, the stitch where we join the cup cover is inside. So how to go about covering this? Now if you don't have a hemi gum to gum this, all you just have to do, carefully just fold it in like this and then run a stitch on it. But you want to be careful to avoid your lining coming out. But if you have a hemi gum, all you just need to do is just add your hemi gum, sprinkle water on it and close it. So this is what it looks like after using our lining to cover it up. You can see what it looks like. So we are going to go ahead now and pick our bra cup, identify the midpoint as steel, and then place it directly where you have joined your bony line like this. Now we'll go ahead and pin this down. So all you just need to do is just to close this down by 1/2 inch. Just make sure that your cup enters the circle where you drafted out the cup from. At this point, I was really struggling with my pin. It was bending, it wasn't holding it properly. So by the time you close it up, this is what our cup is expected to look like. You can see now this is the easiest and the simplest cup, how to attach your cup. So I'll do this and bring it back. So guys, I've gone ahead now to attach our cup to the main fabric. You can see what it's looking like. It's beautiful. And I also went ahead to iron it out. Now you can see what the inside looks like. So we're going to definitely close this up. So I'm going to give you a little trick, a little expo of how I close my cup when I want to do an ready-made cup. Now this is 1 inch. I folded it into 2 like this. Now I'll go ahead and place it this point, the point where that have that edges, the 2 edges together. You can see, just pay attention to what I'm doing here. Now you're meant to just go ahead, gradually sew into this place by 1/2 inch. You want to sew in a way that you can actually use the remaining edge of it to cover the remaining rough edges. Okay, so by the time you've closed it up like this, by the time you've sewn it like this, the next thing you're supposed to do is now flip it in like this so that it covers the rough edges. Okay, now this also works out for people who does not have a zigzag stitch. Okay, so if you don't have a zigzag stitch, this is the best way to cover your cup, and then you close it up like this. So I will go ahead now and stitch this just by following it up. Now I would always love to stitch from inside like this, stitch from outside like this, so that I will see the edges of how my stitch looks like. So I'll go ahead and stitch this all around after attaching it, and then I'll bring it back. So guys, I've gone ahead now to attach our cup. Now this is what it looks like. You can see it's not looking as if there's a black bone on it. Now this is what the inside looks like. You can see this is what the inside looks like. All right, I also went ahead to hem this other part. Okay, it's just the way you hem using your bias is the same way I did this. Just attach from here and then flip over and then fold in like that. So that's just basically all. Now we're going to go straight to draping of our corset. This is the most important aspect of this tutorial, this draping. Now this is the remaining fabric I have, and this fabric I have it to be 17 inches. You can see, so your fabric necessarily do not have to be this big, okay, but this is the length of what I want to work with. Now we're going to go ahead. Now if you also look at the corset we are trying to recreate, the draping is on a slanted form, so it's very close to the cup. So I'll first of all place it here, and you want to place it in a way that the edges of your corset will not be coming out like this. So you fold it in like this first, and then you fold it in like this. Can you see what I'm doing here? Just pay attention to the way I'm draping it, and this is the easiest way to drap. This is how I drap on my clothes. So, and then I'll bring it down to this other point. Now you want to pull this, make it not to be too loose, so that by the time, even if you are not going to stitch everywhere, your draping will not be scattered. So I will pin this at this point. Here I'm finding it very difficult. Honestly, I do not know the kind of pin we have these days, because any little thing, the pin will just bend. So at this point, my pin is no longer working. It's not draping. It's not holding anything anymore. So I'm using my free hand to drap this. So you drap it and extend it to this point. Can you see? Can you see, guys? So this is what, to this edge, and then you also drap, you keep dropping it to the number of the numbers you want, how you want your drap to look like. Okay, so please just pay attention to what I'm doing here, and you're good to go. So you can see this is the first drap. Now we'll go ahead and achieve the second one. Like I said, you want to make sure that you're pulling it very well. So this is the second one down to this edge. You add, this is the third one for me. So you keep using your hand to drap to the number of draps you want your corset to have. Can you see? This is the simplest way to drap on a flat surface. On a flat surface, okay? So drap it to this extent, and then we close it up like this. So you want to make sure the rough edges are not showing up. Can you see how beautiful it's looking? So I will go ahead now and arrange this properly down here. You can see what I'm doing here. I'll arrange it now. Can you see? Guys, can you see what this looks like? So this is what is meant to look like after draping it. So you can do as many as you want, the little as you want, or anyhow you want to drap it. Just do you at this point, but make sure you're draping nice. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and cut out this excess here. Okay, so after cutting out the excess, so you want to make sure you stitch down this point, and then stitch down the other point, okay, to make sure it's closed. Now for the other draping, this middle, if you want, you can use your hemigum to close it up. For me, I'm not going to use hemigum to close this up, but I'm just showing you in case if you want to iron it down, you can iron it flat this point. Can you see? So in case if you want to iron it, it's advisable you add your hemigum. So after draping now, we'll go ahead and cut out this excess like this. Can you see? So we'll go ahead and cut this excess out. Now after cutting out this excess, you want to make sure you first of all stitch this down here. Then after stitching it down, you will now go ahead and close this up using the back pattern, like when you want to close up your cloth after joining. Okay, so I'll pick up the back pattern, okay, and place it like this. Okay, can you see? And place it, and then use my body measurement to cover it up. Can you see? So the draping is going to be in between both the front and the back. So I'll place it on top of it like this and close it with my body measurement, and then I will also do the same thing for this other part. Please do not forget, you're meant to stitch on this first, stitch on top of this first, and stitch here as well to avoid it moving. Okay, so I will go ahead and do this now, and then I'll bring it back. So guys, this is what the draping looks like at the front. Can you see? Can you see how beautiful it is? So I was trying to use the hemigum to hold it down, but I ended up changing my mind. So because the front is already tight enough, by the time I put my loop at the back, it's going to be firm like this. So there was really no need of attaching the hemigum. Okay, so that's why I said when you're draping, you should make sure you pull it in a way by the time you wear it, it's going to come out fine. Now this is where the draping is. I first of all stitched it down before using my body measurement to close this down. Can you see? Now I didn't trim out this place because I want you to see what it looks like. So you want to make sure that you trim out all the excesses in case if you are not going to be weaving the edge, or if you don't fold it down. So just trim this out in a way it's not going to be visible. Can you see? Now this is what it looks like, and then this is the frontal, this is the front part of this corset. Now this corset is actually looking really nice. Okay, so guys, that's basically all for the drafting of this corset. Please, if you find this tutorial helpful, please do not forget to like, comment, and also subscribe. Turn on your notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever I post a new tutorial. Okay, now the only thing left here is the eyelet. I do not have an eyelet machine. That is the only thing that is left here. So you just want to mark your eyelet, the places you're supposed to put it, and that is for your loop space. So guys, and most importantly, do not forget to go green. Go green, guys. Do not litter your pieces. Trash your pieces properly. Treat the ecosystem very importantly. Do not forget to go green once again. So that's all for this tutorial. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. See you on my next tutorial. Bye for now.